My name is Johanna Riddle, and I'm a member of Beaux Arts. I'm really happy to be here today at the Museum of Arts and Sciences to talk about this piece of work. So I work primarily with mixed media. I use lots of different kinds of papers, construction paper sometimes, a lot of wood pulp papers, tissue paper, altered papers that I've worked with chemically, deli paper, found papers, all of those things come together. And then I use a variety of types of processes, including painting, printmaking. I make a lot of stencils and use those in my work. And many materials, lots of media, acrylic, a lot of water-based dyes, watercolor pencils, and a lot of sumi ink. So I will take all of those things together and begin to create a series of papers. I have boxes and drawers full of them at home in different values, and we'll spend days and weeks and months just painting papers, really. I will put together my color array and my media array, and I'll begin to work. And I work in many, many layers. There's a lot of varnish in between my work because I love the depth and the luminosity that brings to my work. So this piece right here is really a combination of two series that I did. I like to work very often in small pieces in a sort of a storyboard fashion because I love the idea that we can arrange and reconfigure these pieces to tell new and fresh stories. The first piece that I created is this section right here. It was about almost 2 years ago now. I was actually at a gallery, and I'd won an award for a piece of work, and it's kind of nice. It's not really why we create art, but it's really wonderful to get the validation of your peers. And so I was coming out of the gallery, it was nighttime, it was a really breezy evening, and this huge piece of streamer just came out of nowhere and wrapped it, just plastered itself against me. It was this beautiful long mylar streamer. And that moment struck me because it was kind of like a connection of a universal attaboy, like we know this happened and we're celebrating with you. And that moment struck me, both metaphorically and physically, and I created this piece called The Delectable Bit of Ballyhoo. And actually, the streamer itself is woven into the work. So I have a big, long wall on my studio where I like to put my work so I can view it and see how it works together over time. This summer, we are here in the middle of the COVID bubble, and the world becomes very small again. Time just grinds to a halt, and the world is very, very small, and time is very, very slow. And so I created this piece called Summer Haiku. As we know, haiku is a very brief and practical and to the point piece of verse, much like that period of time was. This little leaf in here is a reference to a poem by Naomi Nye that is very meaningful to me. It says, walk around like a leaf, knowing at any moment you might fall, and then decide what to do with your time. So putting this up on the shelf and putting this up on the shelf, and I'm realizing that visually and thematically they were congruent and very compatible. And so I began to put them together to create this piece. And I like the way that they work together and the story that they tell. I also want to mention that I often put writing behind my work. And in this case, there's an excerpt from Audrey Niffenegger's book, The Time Traveler's Wife, that talks about the block universe. And I love that idea that everything is happening at once and that we have this slice of time where we create a moment or we create a memory and we put those things together. So I love the squareness of this, almost as if they're a cross section of that block and have been laid out for our memory and for our idea of the pieces of time that stand out for us and define our lives. So the syncopation and the synchrony of this, I think, are very speak to the nature of time, and I was happy with the way that it turned out, and I hope you like it too.